Say
3 to 5 minute period.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Can folks hear us right now?
Ooh.
Okay. So from where I'm sitting, this is a nice, like, level sound, but I don't know exactly where the speakers are in orientation to me. So if you're in a corner or something, can you hear me? Does this need to be a little louder?
Yeah.
Little. Okay.
Little.
Perfect.
We can go a little bit.
And I can use my inside louder voice to maybe help with this. Okay, there we go. All right. So camera,
Yeah.
Allison.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
I'm not used to being on this side.
I know. This has got to feel, and you can see yourself too, and that's got to be trippy.
It is a little weird.
Here, let me break the ice.
Okay.
I need to read the room. I need to read on the room so I can get a temp check. Okay. I need to know. And I'm bringing this home to my husband because this is a battle. Is it too early pre-Thanksgiving for me to be decorating for Christmas? Whoa. Okay, who said started in July? Because you are correct. Objectively, Christmas in July. Yes.
Proper decorations leading up to Thanksgiving are Star Trek decorations in celebration of Starbase Cindy. It has on those, right?
Okay. I will not confirm or deny. I'm executing my rights. My rights. Okay. I didn't mean to split the room. Not a good way to start a nice book club around a nice topic, which is, of course, Star Trek. No shot. You have slides.
No, I'm not. These are just to remember.
I was
things.
like, honey, we don't have a projector.
I can put them on my sweatshirt.
Are we getting course credit for this?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I didn't pay tuition.
There'll be a test at the end.
Yeah. Okay, you heard him. The test. He did the test, not me. Yep. This is also the complaint department.
Yes.
Just kidding. Well, thank you guys so much, and thank you for bearing with us as we figured out some of our technical difficulties. And anybody who's working in that end of year rush, it's that time of year. But we're all leaving it at the door, and we're going to enjoy a nice evening of maybe Christmassy, not Christmassy Star Trek, because it's too early for some people. That did not solve the debate in my house, by the way. And I will take the half of your energy who said yes home. And I will selectively report because, as I said, everyone is entitled to one piece of misinformation. And that is my misinformation of the day, is that everyone agreed. It is Christmas time. They were, and you know what? I will take selective reporting, Alex Trebek, for 200.
Well, that's the great thing about our online audience is they can't see the crowd. So they
true.
Just assume that we pulled them correctly.
I am directing the misinformation. Yeah, so they don't know any better. So thank you guys so much for joining us this chilly, rainy, kind of dreary November Tuesday right before Thanksgiving. I hope you guys, if you're traveling for the holidays, safe travels. And if you're traveling to Starbase Indy, safe travels. Starbase Indy. I always start these off by thanking, obviously, Indiana Sciences and Indiana Humanities, who are our partners for this event. Strange Bird, who is a wonderful host and venue for this event. Our Indianapolis Public Libraries, who help support the event and help provide books for so many of you who read. And then obviously today, our special thank you goes to Starbase Indy for partnering with us with this event and bringing, claps, snaps, for being great partners and inspiring us with this theme for tonight's book. And first, long-time viewer, first-time chatter.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Long-time listener. Yeah. I don't know if we've ever introduced you and your background, at least in this venue, not since I've been hosting. So if you're not familiar with Rufus, this is Rufus.
Hi.
Tell us about yourself, Rufus.
Yeah, so...
Where were you born? No, I'm kidding.
Mom's maiden name and social security number.
Yeah. And there's a number on the card. If you could just give me the last three. Yeah.
So my name is Rufus Cochran. I am a computer engineer by training, and I am a data scientist at one of the large life sciences medical devices companies here in Indianapolis. That's my day job. Outside of work, I do a lot of nonprofit work with my partner, who's here, and you might hear our wonderful tiny human making sounds throughout this, so she's great. We we formed a nonprofit over a decade ago called Indiana Sciences that does science communication targeted at anybody in the kind of like 25 to still learning range, right? And we really were trying to be accessible for people to re-engage with the awe and wonder of science. And so this is one of our core events. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Books, Booze, and Brains is this idea where we can get subject matter experts. We can get people who are knowledgeable in their field to talk about the science behind these popular science and fiction and even nonfiction books that we do in the book club. And the success of this has been amazing and humbling. We're approaching our 10th year of Books, Booze, and Brains, which is insane. And just this packed space where I can reach over and touch like the tables of the people here. Like this is a really cool way to end this season, the 2025 year with Star Trek. And just again, so grateful to our partners at Starbase Indy. We've been doing panels and Drink with a Scientist there for years now. If you haven't heard of Starbase Indy, it is a great Star Trek convention that is right here in Indianapolis. You can meet tons of people, learn tons of things about Star Trek. And at the end of the night on Saturday, you can come and have a beer with us or a tea, whatever you want, and talk about the science of Star Trek like we're going to do here. So, yeah. And then I guess, yeah, the nonprofit did BattleBots stuff and do robotics stuff, mentoring. I like science, so I guess that's why I'm here. So
That's what I'm going to put on my resume.
But-
Just delete the ref. I like science.
I'm a science enthusiast, I guess is what you'd put it. And I happen to be really good at computers, so they gave me a degree in computer engineering, and now I do data science.
It's like Hogwarts. They said,
Yeah.
what house are we sorting you into in the science enthusiast campaign? They put the hat on you and immediately said, computers.
Yeah. It was the engineering sorting hat, and I put it on, and they said, this guy has no idea about spatial awareness. He cannot be a civil or mechanical engineer, but he understands how to whisper to the circuits, so we'll let him do stuff with computers. So
And circuits are just lines to me. So you know what? Good
That's
on
fair.
you.
That's fair.
And I'm sad I can't come to the Starbase Indy event because I'm traveling to go see. I know I've gone the last couple of years. It's been, and I will admit, hey, is this a safe space? I can admit I did not start coming to that event as a Star Trek fan. I was casually watched it a lot as when I was a kid because I learned my mom was trying to initiate me. Because I realized, actually reading this book, I realized I was like, wow, I've seen a lot more Star Trek than I thought I had. And I reached out to my mom and I was like, did you just like have this playing a lot? And she was like, yeah, I love Star Trek. And I said, okay. Well, it mostly worked. It took a while for me to get there, but I got there. And I will say, I love going to that event partially because I love talking to Barrett and some of the other like engineer-focused people.
Yeah.
And they're
the best. You make the best friends at a Star Trek convention.
so much fun. So if you've never been, highly recommend.
So, and it's funny, I'm going to tangent off what you said, your mom getting you into Star Trek. It was actually my mom who got me into Star Trek. So I remember growing up, and as the Next Generation was coming out, it would be on, we'd watch it in real time. I remember like the VCR taping the season finale so that we could rewatch it afterwards. And kind of similar, I had a journey, like I think a lot of people, where you're younger, you see Star Trek, and you're like, that's okay. But I also really like this other franchise with swords and explosions, and you're like, and then you get older, and what I found is I keep getting pulled further and further into like a love of Star Trek for what it represents and for the way that it tells story, and the way that it resonates with people just beyond the science fiction. But we'll get there. But moms are great. That's what I was going.
Go
with.
mom! Hey, go moms!
Go moms!
Woo, go moms! Love you. Well, no, I think that's a great place to start because I mean, I think there's something about the staying power of this fandom, right? There are a lot of pop culture icons and pop culture shows that are popular for a period and they kind of go away. The Star Trek fan base and the Star Trek support has really never. Maybe it's ebbed and flowed, but yeah, I mean, it's such a long-standing franchise. Do you think that has to do with the fact that it is? I mean, not all sci-fi fandoms and fan bases really last this long. I don't even say fan bases. I mean, just franchises last this long. Do you think it has something to do with the strong tie to science that keeps people interested because they're is a lot of intersectionality between reality and Star Trek, or is it just that good?
Well, I'd say like
Or
first with the fan base, it's can't stop, won't stop. With like
Yeah.
when you fall in love with this, there is a very rich universe to dive into. And then one of the things that I'd probably say on the front of like, remembering that this is like a discussion and a book club on expertise. This popular media is not my expertise. But what I would say is, my partner and I will talk about why are there some shows that we can put on the background and watch over and over and over again.
Mhm.
And there are other shows that you're like, I've watched it once, it had its big CGI explosion, and then I was done watching it. And some of those, I think back to like a lot of sitcoms and other shows, those characters and those stories really resonate with our personality, with our life, and with the stories that happen. And I look a lot at a lot of different sitcoms like The Office and 30 Rock and New Girl, and all these characters are kind of, we take any of our core personalities and we slice them up. Each character represents one of those like parts of our personality and can resonate with us at different times in our lives. And then the stories are written in a way that slice of life almost, where you can say, okay, this is something that I can go back and watch Seinfeld, and those jokes will still resonate today, even though we don't have landlines and we don't have, taxis, that stuff still ends up being funny. And I think of Star Trek in the same way, is that a lot of the moral arcs and a lot of the stories resonate beyond their time and beyond an individual technological moment, and are really human stories about the human condition. And those last long after a given time in popular culture. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I hope that sounded convincing. Hopefully I had a little, AI in there where it sounds like, oh yeah, he said it convincingly enough, I'll believe it. So it's
Not
Sorry.
the AI reference.
yeah, I'll drop jokes all night on that. So
No. Yeah. Well, and I think there's a lot to be said about AI here too, but
Mhm.
okay. I digress. Let's stay focused. So this book talks about the science of Star Trek, right? I want to start in your wheelhouse, and then I think we'll migrate out. And I want to start with the material science that I feel like is foundational to a lot of what we see when we think of okay, what's the reality of Star Trek? Build a ship. Okay, first off, easier said than done. As we learned, really expensive, probably a little out of our budget. I don't know. Maybe if we pulled all of our pocket change, we can make it happen. I don't know. But so, I mean, they give the example in the book of the transparent aluminum, and then he said that was real. Is that actually real?
yeah,
I'm sorry, never heard of it. Is transparent aluminum actually real? And do you think, is that like the start of long-term space travel, or are there other things that we need to be thinking about?
yeah. So this is actually, I saw you peep my notes. This is actually,
Oh, I was going to bring it up regardless.
This
Because
is-
when he goes, oh, by the way, that's real. I said, no, you don't get to stop there.
Yeah.
At transparent aluminum.
yeah. So we've actually had it since, I believe it's like the 70s.
Okay.
So
Hey,
Matt-
thanks so
yeah.
much.
So yeah, Matt Sowers, who is a mechanical engineer, who, if you haven't seen his episodes of Books, Booze, and Brains, they're amazing.
Yeah.
He talks a lot about material science. He was the one who really helped me understand this, that Alon, which is aluminum oxide,
Yeah.
like it's a ceramic material that is like, it's all over. You don't even know that it's there, and we use it already. And it's actually like, it's a material we've had for a long time, like since the 70s. So yeah,
So is it used in space shuttles now? Is it used in space now? Or is the concept of using it as a window, like the durability of it, is where we've lost the plot?
so I do not believe that we use it in spacecraft.
I don't think so
right now.
either.
And some things, I will say, like some things in science fiction, we see something and we go, that's super cool. And then when it has to go through the pressure tester of actual design and verification, especially for something like a spacecraft, which has so many safety constraints, we see like, this was a really cool thing.
Yeah.
There's tons of potential here, but a lot of the times those more mundane materials, like basic ceramic tiles made of standard,
Yeah.
like high heat ceramics, are way better at what they do. The basic things are better. So, yeah.
But I mean, realistically, we don't have, like, when we think about the science of Star Trek and translating that into reality, it seems like we just aren't at a place where we could even design something that would sustain, like, that would live in space for as long as, for example, Star Trek ships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So,
Like, we just don't have the actual material.
So we're close on a lot of fronts.
Oh.
If we look at a lot of the studies that were done on the International Space Station with like
Yeah.
long-term habitation in space,
Mhm.
we can see that there are radiation concerns, there are microgravity concerns on our physiology. Our bones.
I have a lot to say about that. Don't even get me started.
So here's one of the things to think about. As you're standing here on Earth, sometimes we take for granted that our body is a mechanical system, right?
Yes.
And it relies on a lot of the foundational laws of physics of being on a planet with a gravity of 1g. So a lot of the pumps and the other systems are pressure based in our body. If you notice, when you get cut on certain veins, it's not just dripping out, right? Blood is like comically,
Yeah.
those like
Yeah.
SNL skits where it's like,
Yeah.
"Ah." It's because a lot of our internal systems are based off of pressure and maintaining pressure. And those systems work on gravity and different pressures in our standard Earth environment. So when you go into space, it's not necessarily enough to be like, okay, you've got oxygen and you've got heat, you're fine, right? It's your body is trying to understand, okay, which way is up and which way is down. When I'm pumping these things, and these internal systems are trying to keep us from, if you think about being hung upside down as a form of torture for a long time, right? It's because blood pools in areas that it's not supposed to, because our body is naturally inclined to be this way or sometimes this way, right?
Yeah.
But it's not inclined to be upside down or non-oriented. And so being in space for long periods of time without full artificial gravity can have large effects on our body. So that's one of the big challenges along with radiation. And then
Radiation seems like a big one.
and then the other one is just going crazy in space by yourself. So
There's something, and the book doesn't really touch on that at all. I mean, well, and obviously there's a large crew on the Enterprise, and you get like a lot of the socialization. But when he talks about the reality of a spaceship, he goes, "Oh, skeleton crew, 12 people."
yeah,
I don't think there's 12 people on Earth I could be stuck in space with. I love you so much, Mom. I couldn't do it. 3 weeks for Christmas is plenty. Like, hopefully she doesn't see this, but you know what I mean? So, I mean, there's a cycle. You're right. You're absolutely right. There's a psychological factor beyond the physiological. Can we keep a human alive in space for more than X period of time? Yes, we've done it on like the space station. Although I would argue that it involves a lot of intervention that is not seen in the Star Trek universe, right? But they also have things like the replicator, which we can talk about. But
and just going back to those studies, who's heard about the different studies where they will put people in isolated areas for like multi-year periods and test the psychology, right? So the Mars 500 was one that was done, I believe, in Siberia, where they set, I believe it was cosmonauts and astronauts together. And it's like, can you survive? Can you not kill each other in this very isolated, very desolate place for multiple years, right? Because most of these missions, if we think about going to Mars and stuff, this isn't a weekend, this isn't a day trip, right? This is several
girls trip
months.
to the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Well, who here has seen Futurama, the show?
Yeah,
right? It's a
okay, couple
cartoon.
hands.
So one of my favorite scenes it's the first episode. For the context, for people who don't know, it's an animated cartoon about a guy from 1999 gets cryogenically frozen and wakes up in 2099, I think, right? And we've got space travel and everything. He wakes up, and just like you would expect, yes, there's space travel, everything, but there's the same bureaucracy. There's the same trash in New York. And so he gets tagged with a job quickly. He becomes a delivery boy, unfortunately, just like he was in the year 1999. And he does his first delivery, and they said, "We're going to the moon." And he gets so excited. He gets in the ship, and he's like, "All right, time for the countdown." And he goes, 10, 9. And then the ship takes off. They're straight into space. He goes, 97, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And they land on the moon. And he's like, "Oh, we're already here, right? That's if you think about what we have to do now, where the technology that exists in Star Trek is, right? And we've got transporters, we have shuttlecraft that are flying at above hypersonic speeds. When we look at how fast these will land on the planet with an away
Yeah.
team, those technologies are very far away, but are very inspiring, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things I will actually tie it back to is we're talking about technologies that maybe are or aren't available. Are there any Deep Space Nine fans in the room? Okay, sweet, good. Because I'm going to take a lot of stuff out of Deep Space Nine because that's like one of my favorite of the series. But in one of the episodes, they find some ancient Bajoran technology, right? So the Bajorans are the native inhabitants of the planet Bajor, which is where the space station Deep Space Nine orbits. And the Bajorans have this claim that they were able to travel faster than light before anybody else and actually visited other civilizations very early in their history. And they did this with a light sail. And so Cisco, in his never-ending challenges to be a better and connected dad with Jake, his son in the show, he builds a light sail with his son, and they go and they attempt to fly it, and they hit a special patch of space where there's very high radiation. The sails are set up to grab light and other forms of radiation and push the ship so it doesn't have an engine. It's like a space sail ship, right? And it works, and their minds are blown, and it helps solidify Bajoran history. This technology isn't like science fiction. We've actually already done this. So the astronomical, what's Bill Nye's thing? The space.
Bill.
Oh, the
Bill.
society.
Oh.
The Space Society. Planetary Society. Thank you. Somebody in the crowd. This group, somebody had to know, right? So the Planetary Society actually chartered and already built one of these, a large light sail, and launched it from orbit back in 2019. And the idea is our sun, it'll catch radiation, it'll leave the solar system, and it can only go faster and faster, right? Because there's no wind resistance in space. Unless we hit a planet or something, it's going to go straight out of the solar system propelled by the sun. So This is one of those examples of technologies in the show back in 96. In 2019, we launched one of these for real. The Planetary Society did. So those are the cool tie-ins where you see things in the show decades later happen in real life, and we can realize these technologies today. Some of them, warp drive, we're kind of far away from.
Yeah.
But things like light sails, like we've made them. We're doing it now.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And when I want that to lead into our first Turn and Talk. So if you're new to our group Turn and Talks, I'm going to give you a few minutes to talk at your table about like a topic, a question, a prompt. And then we'll come back and we'll share. And I really want to share with this group. So I'll probably not give you as much time to talk amongst like yourselves, but I really want to talk as a group. But that's a great segue because I think there are a lot of technologies that are inspired by Star Trek, or you saw in Star Trek first. We saw something similar in Star Trek, and that really inspired actual technology, and the light sail is a great example. And there's a lot talked in the book. There's also a lot not discussed in the book, and I feel like we have a lot of fans here who probably have examples that are either their favorites or that they can think of. So I'd love to know what examples maybe you saw in the book or you didn't see in the book that are real life technologies that were inspired by Star Trek. So maybe think about a couple examples, and then we can come back and share and see if we all come up with the same thing.
Ta-da. Okay. Still on the live stream.
Yeah, and we're still on the live stream. The light sails is a great example. I actually did not know that first off, didn't know Bill Nye had a society because I would have been number one in line.
Yeah. He's like the spokesperson for it. I don't know that it's like his society, but he's like the face of it. So I kind of do a one for one. It's Bill Nye's thing.
Hey, give him
right?
his credit. Give him his flowers.
Yes,
Bill
exactly.
deserves it.
Exactly. So, okay. So I'm thinking of just like the different like areas that we can go. And for the folks behind the scenes, we both got here a little late. So I just wanted to maybe talk through this, give a peek behind the curtain to our folks on the live stream. Where do you want to go with the rest of this conversation?
Well,
And if you don't know, we can just write it out. But if you have a path forward, let me know.
My goal is to cater to the Trekkies, and so actually I don't have much written down. This is also just the other page didn't print. Love my printer. So I want to cater this towards the Trekkies and the people who, because you're here because you love it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to give them maximal opportunity to direct where we go.
Okay.
And so I actually would rather not to give it back to you, but I want to know where you're most comfortable. Because I would rather give the crowd what you're not comfortable with and give you what you are comfortable with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Keep you in your wheelhouse and let everyone else steer elsewhere so that we can hit as much content as possible. Because I don't want to, there's some books where I'm like fine driving and being like, I want to talk about what I want to talk about. Everyone else, you get to get in the back
Everybody
seat.
be quiet.
Everyone, this is my time.
Yeah.
But this isn't that, obviously.
So I would say,
where do you like? Where do you, what makes you smile? What makes you go, ooh.
So for the end, I'd like to end with Geordie's visor. Because that is very like
what?
Geordie's visor.
Oh, Geordie's visor.
Yeah,
oh,
the thing.
yeah.
Geordie LaForge is my favorite Star Trek character, and his visor, and I'll tell the story at the end, like resonates with me a lot for a lot of different reasons.
Love.
There's that. On that journey, we can talk about universal translators. That's a big thing right now.
Yeah. Well, because those are
real-time
like
translation.
real.
Oh yeah, exactly.
It's real.
Exactly. And
you
then,
travel anywhere in the world. You don't have to know the language. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then I think supercomputers, AI, the interfaces with the ships.
I was going to ask if now we think Data's a person.
And then
is Data a clanker?
Data is
sorry, Data. Is Data a clanker? I think he is.
Excuse me.
I think he's property.
That's robust. That's specious.
And I'll do it again.
Lifist? I don't know.
See?
Yes.
The converse. Because I watched that episode before.
Yeah.
I said, "Oh my god, I love that." Now he's a toaster to me.
Yeah.
And is it because
crazy.
I'm jaded?
Yeah, we don't know. So give me 1 second with
Gemini.
Keep them
Gemini,
interested.
I love you.
I'm gonna take like 2 pictures of the crowd,
and
then I'm gonna sit right back down.
Girl, do what you gotta do.
I'm not going far.
Yeah. See, and unfortunately, if you're on the live stream, you know I could talk to a brick wall for about 75 years. So I will tell you that I was a little surprised at this book. If you read this book, because there's a lot of science of Star Trek books that exist, right? This one in particular, I think, tried to take the most broad approach. There are some that focus more on like the technology and like the actual like engineering and hard science of it. And then I think this one tried to take a little bit more of a broad approach and really covered a lot of different topics that include alien life and that include some of the more, I would say, sociopolitical aspects of Star Trek. Because I mean, it's called political science for a reason, right? Like it is a science. But those were aspects of the book and aspects of Star Trek that I have to admit, going into this book, I really wasn't expecting, but I think the author did a really good job of kind of just laying them out at a high level. So if you wanted a more in-depth book, I know there are others out there that come highly recommended that are more in the weeds for some of like the engineering and technology, like really deep dives. But I think there were aspects of Star Trek that I actually wasn't expecting to reflect on when I started this book. And now that, you know, I've read the book, I actually have a deeper, I think, appreciation for Star Trek and for what it represents and kind of how deep the story goes and the purpose of the series in the times that it was filmed. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Something will work.
Okay.
Aw, and the live stream was in the selfie. That's so sweet.
We got you guys.
Look at you guys. We got you. I also just realized I've not been looking at you. I'm sorry, live stream.
Oh, it's okay. They understand.
Whatever. Go to Instagram if you want to see a picture. That's where they live.
There's just a couple of you.
Yeah.
On our
Oh, it's the internet. I feel like my entire life could be downloaded onto a chip at this point.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's one of the crazy things. Like, I was just thinking about it. Like, I've done a handful of podcasts. I've done a couple of like interviews on WFYI. My voice is out there. Well,
Okay.
that was not a humble brag. I'm trying to build a data case for what I'm about to say. But with just a couple of hours of like audio from those podcasts and interviews, it is super easy now to build a full like voice clone of me that you can feed whatever like you want into it. So if you wanted to impersonate anybody who has recorded audio out there and call your, I don't know, your credit card company or your whatever,
It's so scary.
it's actually really easy right now, right? And so if we even want to dive into, there's another episode of Deep Space Nine where Quark is trying to take a full scan of Kira and use her as a character in one of his holo suites for a wealthy patron. Exactly. So Star Trek was touching on some of these like deep fake, real like problematic areas decades before they became these real issues that we're dealing with today.
They were a
right?
sparkle in an engineer's eye still. and they were like, no, let's get into it.
Yeah. They're like, let's go.
Let's take a moral stance on it now.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, and maybe even not taking moral stance, but at least like get it in the discussion so that people understand the ramifications of the technologies, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I really love about Star Trek, and I think why it's had such staying power across political lines, right? Is because it, in some areas, yes, it'll take a stand, but a lot of times the beauty of Star Trek is begging the question, putting the conundrum in front of people, and trusting your audience to have the intelligence and the maturity to process that themselves. Because you look at so much media today, there's a common complaint among like art critics and stuff of like everything's ham-fisted. Every message is packed up into a ball and shoved into your throat until you can't breathe, right? Yeah. And so one of the beautiful things about Star Trek has always been, we're going to leave you with that moral ambiguity, and we're going to let you understand and trust you as the audience to process what this means. Right? Trusting your audience is hard. Like it's Well, and I mean, they talk about it in the book a little bit about how, you know, there was commentary about the Vietnam War in early episodes, and they said, all right, will the show survive this? Like if we even present it to our audience, like, are we going to lose half our audience who might not agree with what we're about to put out? And is that going to totally kill the show before it started? I mean, that's a huge risk. And for them to go, yeah, we're going to do it. Crazy. Well, I think it's because they don't bring it up as this president, this administration, this thing has done something wrong, right? They say, they look at the actual issues of the, like I mentioned before, like what is the actual experience? What is the human condition that underlies these things that we have these moral arguments about? How can we depict that? That's the beauty of science fiction, is the ability to take the real and take away all that baggage that we have with the real characters, the real life events, and put it in a package that's fantastical, so that we have to deal with the underlying moral issues and not the day-to-day details that we love to argue over, right? And it gives people that freedom and that permission to interrogate critically those moral dilemmas that we face in the everyday world, right? I think about like a great episode of Star Trek that I've actually got pulled up with the Cloud Minders, right? And Kirk and Spock, they need a certain material, like dilithium or something. I forget exactly what they need, but there's like one planet that's close enough before they run out of fuel, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just go pick it up," right? And they go, and as they're like doing the deal and trading with these people in this city in the clouds, one of the workers who manufactures this is going crazy and attacks them, and Kirk and then is like, what's going on with these people? Like, and so they like Kirk does, he beams himself down to the planet, doesn't follow the rules, and finds out these folks are down in these horrible working conditions in these mines, and the deuterium is causing them to get hyper aggressive and to attack people. this is a direct analogy for lead poisoning, which is a huge issue in the 60s and 70s, which
Yeah.
studies were already showing caused aggression,
Yeah.
especially in children. It called developmental delays in youth, right? And this is a fantastical show. People living in clouds, teleporting down to the planet, fighting in mines with weird masks, and for some
Yeah.
reason you're mining in short shorts. I don't understand it, but like this whole idea of how do we tell a story about the working conditions of people in any country, right?
Yeah.
Well, we tell through this fantastical lens of these people enslaved on a far off planet in the clouds. They're not human, so don't worry, we're not doing anything wrong. We're the good guys. But we come and we save them,
Yeah.
and we tell that story, and then the next time you go to discuss a topic like this,
Yeah.
there's this different lens that you see it through. That's the real power of Star Trek, is the
Yeah.
idea of how do I tell these moral stories in a way that strips away all of the guards up details that we have in everyday life.
Yeah. And that's, I think, gets back to the staying power of this series, you
Oh, yeah.
know? And it also makes it resonate across generations. You can start today
Yeah.
and still resonate with those messages
Oh yeah.
and those stories, even if you don't realize the tie-in to like Vietnam or lead poisoning. Like you can still
Yeah.
enjoy them and get the moral, get the message out of it, right? And get
Yeah.
the thought experiment out of it, regardless.
When
So-
Paul walks in.
Yeah, I think we're ready to come back. Okay.
Testing. 1, 2.
All right. Hey y'all. Hi y'all. So I want to hear from you guys. What technologies were inspired by Star Trek that have become real, that were or were not in this book. Yeah. The holodeck.
The holodeck.
Okay. Oh, the Xbox Connect. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can use it the same way. Kind.
And it put you in the world, right?
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. That's great. Really great example.
The
The cell phone.
AKA the communicator, right? Who's got one of these things that they beep, brr, brr, like all the time.
Voice activated. Yeah. Siri. Voice activated computers.
Yeah.
Gemini.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, no,
Apologies
yeah.
to everybody on the live stream whose phones just went off.
Yeah, and in the rooms.
Yeah. What else do we got?
Yeah, because cell phones also so underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go all the way back to the grocery store doors that slide open.
The sliding door.
Yeah.
Yeah, that real.
The floppy disk.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, we do not have floppy
So
disks
the-
anymore.
Just heard iPads, the PADD's personal assistant data device that they're always carrying around in the series.
Yeah.
I was telling him about a friend of mine who can wear glasses to hear.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, wearing glasses to hear.
Mm.
Oh.
Jordy's visor.
We're gonna
Yeah.
get into Jordy's visor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just the concept that that's even real, even if it's not great, that it just
Yeah.
blows my
Giving
mind.
people their senses back.
Yeah.
It's almost fantastical. Androids.
Yeah. Humanoid androids.
Beep boop.
Humanoid.
It's
It's scary.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Optical tweezers. That sounds pretty
Optical
insane.
tweezers. Someone needs to stop the physicists. Everybody, we need to be. I might become anti. The more I do this, the more I become anti-science. I kind of get it because it's a little crazy.
What else do we got?
Oh.
Boom. There you go. Right. And again, communicators, right? People got smartwatches now. Boop. Doing your thing. Yes, I. In these conversations, it's both fun and a challenge to stay Star Trek focused and not like sci-fi focused because
Yeah.
you can get so. But yeah, Dick Tracy, great. Yeah, they're working on Warp Drive.
Okay, warp drive is bullshit. You
So-
heard it here.
So we'll put a pin at just because my expertise doesn't touch this space. We do have actually people in the crowd that are experts in physics, who we might have to call on to settle disputes. But any other topics that you guys hit at your table, David?
Oh, yeah. DVDs.
Data storage, solid state drives, or organic data storage. That's actually, we've had some breakthroughs in. The most recent one I saw through was mushrooms being used
Yes.
as data storage and as basic transistors, right? And if you remember, how many times did Voyager get a cold or like get sick on its journey, right? Because it had the bioneural gel packs, right? These living parts of the ship that could get a flu, which was kind of crazy. Someone had mentioned humanoid androids.
Yeah.
One of
that's-
the fun things on that I wanted to mention, like tie-ins. Back in 2017, it was more of a publicity stunt than anything, but an android, Sophie, was actually granted citizenship in Saudi Arabia in 2017. And the video of it accepting the award, who here has heard of the idea of the uncanny valley?
Yeah.
Okay, so conceptually, the uncanny valley is this idea in media, art, design, where you're so close to mimicking humans, but there's just like something wrong. Just like you can't put your finger on it, but it's not right. So that's the uncanny valley. A lot of the new android humanoid robots that are being built, especially the ones in healthcare, they're specifically designed to be large bubble, like Big Hero 6 shaped.
Yeah.
Like they're not supposed to look like humans because no matter
Yeah.
how close we get to looking like a human, there's always like something wrong, and it freaks people out at the most fundamental level.
Yeah.
Right. Because we go back to our ancient like Neanderthal brain, right, where we're looking like, okay, that thing over there, it's not quite a human. It's not quite, maybe it's Homo heidelbergus, maybe it's a different,
Yeah.
subspecies of you. It's just not the same as me. And it shakes something ancient in us when we get things that are really close to human but aren't. Yeah, Dave. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So Dave was mentioning the Turing test, and like we actually hit a point back in the early 2010s where we were already beating the Turing test a lot with chatbots before we got any of the large language models. And it's actually a pretty easy hack because humans, we're very empathetic tribal creatures. We want to understand and connect with other people. So as soon as you have a chatbot that tells you, sorry, English isn't my first language, I'm trying, like, just bear with me, you can pass the Turing test in minutes, because anything that you say that's slightly off, if you tell someone like, oh, I'm a younger person, or English isn't my first language, or anything that would give the slightest nod to why your speech and why your communication isn't as human as you might think it is, people pass chatbots all the time through those tests. So
Yeah.
we're way easier to hack than most of our
Yeah.
systems. Just
Because
so you
of
know.
the Neanderthal brain.
Yeah,
Come on.
we had to survive for a long time. We've got a lot of tools in there that are really hard to pull out. Right?
To be fair, we did. It did
Yeah.
what it needed to do.
Yeah. We're
and-
here, aren't we?
And the book only brought this up briefly, but I feel very strongly about it. And I want to pose this as another audience poll that I hope doesn't divide the room. And I asked you this in our turn and talk. Because the book very, very briefly talks about the personhood of data, right? And In the age of AI, I remember watching that episode when I was younger and feeling one way. Now that in this age of AI, I think Data's a clanker. I don't think he has rights. I really my view on that whole episode totally changed, and I would love to poll the crowd. How do we feel about Data? Data. I'm sorry. Fair. Is it feelings and emotions? ChatGPT can make me feel that way too. I don't know. Does he have? Is that what we gives him personhood? Do we give him rights? Does he vote in our elections? Did we give rights to the M5 computer? No. But so then there a threshold where we go, okay, a humanoid android, once it hits a certain threshold, is a person, is the equivalent of a person? That feels dangerous. He's maybe the self-awareness. Aware of your own mortality. Now that's an interesting concept. Okay. He chose people over his brother, an android brother. I don't know. Okay. I won't. Hey, your secret's good with me.
So,
I don't know. I view that whole, in the age of AI, I view that whole concept completely differently.
yeah. So one of the plugs I will make for why Starbase Indy is such an amazing event to attend is in the past, I have not checked the schedule for this season, but I've had the privilege of sitting in on a talk with a professor of data science and a professor of philosophy, having this exact discussion about is Data a should he have rights? Like, are there actual rights there? How does artificial life, would we handle those, and are those from a philosophical perspective like valid forms of life, right? And Starbase Indy is one of the only places that I know where you can get a professor of philosophy and a professor of data science in the same room and watch them have this conversation. Spoiler alert, we don't have like a firm answer. It's a philosophical answer of like, we'll have
When
to find
do we
out.
ever have a firm answer?
But also,
Yeah.
Dr. Philosophy has said many times that it isn't the answer that matters. It's the question and how it's asked.
Boom. So it's this professor of philosophy has said multiple times in that talk, it's not the question that
It's not the answer that matters. It's the question.
It's the question and how it's asked. And I want to bring this back to like an actual tangible today thing. So I mentioned Voyager before. Who here is a Voyager fan? Janeway for life. There we go. Okay, sweet. There's an episode called Author, where the holodeck. So if you're not familiar with Voyager, it's like Gilligan's Island, but in space, right? So their ship, they're chasing the bad guys into this crazy space storm. They get launched to a different quadrant of the galaxy, right? It's going to take them years and years to get back to Earth or even close to the Federation and civilizations that they know. So they have to, find their way back on their own with no support. And they're not on one of those real nice luxury ships like the Enterprise that's got daycares and all this stuff. Voyager was a fast, seek and get things done type of ship. So they're trying to figure out how they can make it long-term sustainable. On the ship, they have a emergency medical hologram, the EMH. He's called the Doctor as they go through, but they have to turn this emergency medical hologram on, and they eventually have to add extra like data packs around it because they need to keep it on 24/7. Like they need this doctor all the time. And what they find out is over the course with his limited programming, over the course of several months, he starts to become fully sentient because he's constantly telling, please turn me off. This is too much. this is too much input. I
Same.
I don't want to be on. Please turn me
Relatable.
back off and only call me when you need me. But when they start, but after the first couple episodes, they switch as he starts to go outside of the bounds of his normal programming, he starts asking them not to turn him off. And then in subsequent episodes, they actually put on hollow projectors outside of the medical lab so that he can travel around the ship and interact with people. But so that's the context. So there's an episode late in season 7 where they're getting close to getting back to Federation space, and he writes a hollow novel, basically a novel about the ship's journeys. And they're within communication range through like a pinprick black hole, I think, to a publishing company, Back to Humanity, right? And a publishing company wants to publish this story, and he sends it, and the company's like, cool, thanks. And then they publish it without him. And they say, you're a hologram. You can't author something, like you don't have any rights to this. And the whole argument, it's very similar to the Measure of a Man, which is the Next Generation episode where Data famously has Picard advocate for him in front of Starfleet that he is a human and the Daystrom Institute can't just pull his brain out and take it apart, right? He's a living creature, a sentient being. And this episode delves into very similar topics of, did this hologram actually write this? Does it have authorship rights? In the story, they say yes. I will tell you, this is in current court law all over the place. As AI systems generate stories, can you copyright these stories that come out of these AI, and I put it in hard air quotes, systems? And the answer currently in most of the case law is no. If it's been generated by an AI system, a large language model, you can't copyright that.
I work in publishing, and I can tell you that's 100% true.
Kabim.
And I work in scientific publishing specifically, but there are caveats in most scientific journals. If you go on their website, a lot of them now have policies about first off whether you can or cannot use AI, but then second off, if you do and you declare it, they cannot claim authorship. And it comes down to even like the company whose whatever AI you're using, if it's ChatGPT or whatever, does that company now have partial ownership of whatever work it is that you published, because it's their model that you use to generate the work. But if they can't claim authorship, ergo that company now has no copyright claim to whatever material. But then also, did you author it? But I will tell you, by the standards of publishing that I work in, no.
Yeah.
Not because you didn't write it. Even if you edit and ship it off, that actually doesn't qualify you for authorship. So
the robots take the L on this one. Right.
Listen.
No
I'm
authorship.
a robot hater.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. This is not the crown to be a robo hater.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's go. I'm in a safe space. Okay. Okay. He's we'll protect him. We love him. All the like washing machines connected to AI are connected to my Wi-Fi and taking up all my bandwidth. We're over it. Oh, yeah. Oh, people who had their work stolen by AI.
So the conversation and the side here is a lot of these models being trained on work that is copyrighted without the consent of the authors.
Yeah.
Can you claim that your system can generate something that you could copyright when all of the material used to train that model is not actually legally yours?
Yeah, because that's commercial use.
And I'm not a lawyer, so I'm going to hard pass
That's true.
on trying to answer that question for anybody. Sorry.
How many authors would agree that they trained on?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Am I no different than a language model? Yeah. I'm a really bad language learning model. I read and I do not put out good work. So I'm a really bad example of it. But you're correct. In theory, we are all doing the same thing, right? So then, where's our philosopher? Because I think
Yeah.
that is the question. No, that's the question worth asking. And you're right, it's contrarian, but it's a good point to consider.
So, and my answer, I would delve into this space a little bit, even though it's not my laws and my area of expertise. With us reading that as humans, taking parts of it, abstracting it, the difference with an AI system, a large language model, specific, usually general pre-trained tensors, right? To get into the weeds here, the system can't operate. It can't create something without that full source material. And that source material can't be abstracted or generalized, right? The input has to be the original source material in full, and it has to be retained throughout the process, even when technical words here, tokenized and vectorized, right? So what it does is it takes that text, it breaks it into the parts of speech into small, subject areas, creates a big solution space, right? Of all these little tokens, of all the material you put into it. And then when you ask it a question, it doesn't think and generate an answer for you. What it does is it drops random seeds in this really big thing. It kind of pokes around in the water and it says, does that kind of look like this thing that you asked? Okay, it does. Let's pull out parts of that and put it together in a pattern that looks similar to what an answer in this big chunk of data that we have looks like, right? So it's a super fancy parrot that can memorize things very easily. It's not abstracting or Carl Sagan with this whole idea of like when we answer questions, like the idea of abstraction from different ideas is how we generate new ideas, right? That this system is not doing anything close to that. It is looking at patterns and giving you exactly its best guess at what that pattern is that would match your answer. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Mhm. And so this is a beautiful
What we
topic.
don't
So
have
he
is
says,
a description of how the brain
first,
works.
I will take my flowers. Thank you. He said that I gave a good description
Yeah.
of how these LLMs work. Thank you.
Yeah.
But he says, we don't have a sufficiently good explanation of how our mind works. And I don't know if we have any medical neurology like people in the room, but ones that I've heard talk on our panel and stuff, we agree where exactly memory is stored, how exactly recall works, the full process of memory generation and abstraction, right? Where our sense of self and mind's eye actually resides physically, abstractly in our mind. These are all mostly unanswered questions in our neuroscience, right? So we still, when the great point that you're alluding to is it's hard for us to say we're going to have artificial general intelligence or this thing or whatever, because we can't define currently philosophy. People still argue about this, like what exactly is those definition of intelligence? What makes us different from any other creature? What is that consciousness idea that we are trying to project onto these systems as we anthropomorphize them, right? With these concepts like, oh, the AI is thinking, or it's telling us the wrong answers and it's tricking us or hallucinating. And no, it's just, that's the system we don't understand. It's designed to do a specific thing, and we're asking it to do more than that. And then we're projecting our human understanding of what wrong is onto it to make it look really human and to do a lot more venture capital funding, right? Because then we get scared of it. And we're like, we got to put money into this so it doesn't eat us, right? Sorry.
No, you're all good. I wanted to give you your moment because I know to our live stream viewers, you already heard us talk about this. You wanted to talk about Jordan's visor.
Yeah, Jordy's visor. So, it's one of the topics that I've got in my slides, and one of the things I wanted to take a slight detour, just because we've hit. Whenever I talk about Star Trek, I try to like mentally hit all the original like all of the
Okay.
golden age ones. So we've hit the Next Generation, we've hit Voyager, we've hit Deep Space Nine. Enterprise and the original series are the two that we haven't like had a specific episode that we've mentioned. So while we were on the live stream a minute ago, we were talking about from our original discussion, what makes Star Trek so long lasting, so impactful over time. And one of the things that we were talking about is we were talking about the human condition. We were talking about having these topics that ended moments in time to tell human stories that resonate today, even beyond a specific news cycle. And there's an episode called "The Cloud Minders" in the original series, right? So this episode, I'll get some of the details wrong. I apologize. They're running out of gas, right? Their ship's running out of, I think it's dilithium. Thank you. And you know they're on E. There's no like stops around, and they're like, oh man, there's this planet that mines dilithium we can stop at, right? So they pull up, they ring the bell, and they transport down to this beautiful city in the clouds where this very fancy society is. They're walking around and they're very fancy. And they're like, oh, we'll trade you for this. And Kirk and Spock and maybe Uhura are down there. And all of a sudden, you know, a guy, crazy, disheveled clothes, jumps out and is yelling at him, is trying to shoot the guys. And they're like, oh, we're so sorry. You know, this never happens. And of course, Kirk is like, what is wrong with these people? And so he has to go investigate this, right? And so what they find is down on the planet's surface, far removed from these people who live in the clouds, right? There's a whole society of people that are mining this dilithium by hand for some reason in like short shorts. They did that a lot in the
Different
original
time.
series. But they're mining this dilithium by hand, and they McCoy, he's scanning them and he goes, oh, like, I'm not gonna do a Scottish accent. I'm not gonna bother you guys with that. But he says like, oh, you know, these people, it's in their brains, Jim, right? It's causing them to be angry and they can't think straight. And they take one of these people out to their ship and they do some work, and all of a sudden the person's fine again. They're perfectly rational. They're not these beasts, right? And they free these people. They get the dilithium. They're like, shame on you, cloud people. And everybody lives happily ever after. And you go like, oh, that's a cool story. That's like an adventure a day. But then you look at the context of what was happening in the 60s and 70s, right? This is when we first start to understand lead poisoning and the effects of lead on childhood development
Everything.
and our long-term health outcomes.
It's in your bones.
The impact on IQ of direct multiple points of IQ loss for high lead exposure in youth and adolescence. And you also look at, in that period, forced working conditions across the country, across the world, and we're just starting to need rare earth metals for all of this new wave of personal computing that's coming in the 70s and into will come in the 80s. And these mines are ridiculously unsafe in most places of the world to get these heavy metals that are required. And you look at this episode and you go, oh, that's a fun adventure day. But why does that resonate today? Why can you still watch these episodes and understand? Because we're still dealing with the effects of lead poisoning today.
Yeah.
If you the IUPUI, they're not IUPUI anymore, but they're environmental group.
In our
Sorry.
hearts, they are.
Please don't come at me. Like that's, but they were a new the environmental studies group there. They'll give you a lead testing kit that you can go to your front yard. You can dig out some soil, send it to them. You can pour some water out of your faucet, send it to them. So you may have seen studies, just mentioned in the crowd. They did this with the elementary schools, and I don't remember the numbers. I don't have them off the top of my head, but if you Google this, lead, elementary school water, you will find that far more than you are comfortable with have heavy lead contamination in their water, right? So this is an episode from 1969. It's 2025, and this is an issue that we're still dealing with, right? But that's one of the things we were talking about. This is the power of Star Trek, right? In my mind, this is the power of science fiction as a whole, is we can take something that could be very controversial. If I come up to somebody in the street, it's a coin flip. If I say, you know, there are issues with climate change and lead at our water, and but this person's going to be like, you're this party and you're this type of person, and I don't want to talk to you. But if you put it in this, you strip out all the current events and you take out all these annoying details that we can sensationalize, and you put it in this really nice shell of science fiction in a world where of course it's the aliens that are doing this to each other. It's not humans. We're the good guys. We'll come in and help everybody. But we have to see like this thing that these aliens are doing to each other is wrong, right? And when we put it in this different context, we remove all of that kind of triggering baggage of the popular culture. We can evaluate these moral topics in a lot more objective way and really grapple with parts of our society that we're usually not comfortable talking with, especially with people of other political or different persuasions, right? And we can have those discussions and critically analyze these things through the lens of science fiction and Star Trek, which I think it's where some of that staying power comes from.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people here would totally agree. I mean, that's why you're here, right? Like, there's staying power to it. You weren't like, oh, I watched 2 episodes like 15 years ago, and actually,
yeah. So I was gonna stay away from some of the new series just because I don't know what people watch, but we don't have to take it all the way to Strange New Worlds. We can go back to Enterprise. I hit the bingo. We're gonna get all these original series. So
we did it, Joe.
Especially if you look at the early episodes of Enterprise. Archer, who here watched Enterprise? Yes, most underrated, one of the best Star Treks. Like, watch it; it's worth it. Even during the temporal Cold Wars, which if you don't know what that means, it's okay, you will, because you're going to watch this. But in those early episodes, we don't have time to go all the way into the Prime Directive and the moral ambiguity and privilege that comes around with not intervening in different societies and talking about the philosophers who talk about these kinds of stuff at Starbase Indy. That's a whole hour-long lecture. I'm not going to go there, right? But they don't have the Prime Directive yet. For those who may not be aware, friends on the live stream, the Prime Directive is this idea in Star Trek is that we are a space-faring advanced civilization. We are going to run into civilizations that don't have anything near our level of technology. What is our obligation? What is our kind of MO when we interact with non-space-faring civilizations? People that may not have even harnessed the power of the atom yet, may not have computers. If we come in, whose quote is the one that like any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, right? Some dude, some real smart dude, like said that. Oh, wow. Arthur C. Clarke. There you go. This idea is if we just come into a pre-warp society, we could easily just be gods, right? We're literally teleporting in from space. We're replicating food. Like we are like a magician, like in front of this new species. So the Prime Directive tells us in all the later seasons of Star Trek, you're by Federation law and code, like you're not going to interact with these societies because you'll fundamentally change their trajectory. Like they need time to develop on their own and build the maturity to wield technologies like photon torpedoes and lasers, right? She agrees with me.
Yeah.
Prime Directive is important, right?
Yeah.
And so we go to a couple of those early episodes where Trip, it's always Trip, right? He has the moral, like, I gotta go save these people. He's like the Riker of Enterprise, right? But they go in and they're like, oh, we're gonna save this society, blah blah blah. They make some interventions. They come back later and they're in like full war. Like everything is like gone to heck, right? And you realize that like the side that we thought we were helping, maybe we were actually the bad guys because it was very morally ambiguous about how these two different species on a planet and a moon interacted, right? And then when we intervened, we tipped the balance of power, and the one side that was actually maybe the bad guys have now been unleashed to do bad on the other side, right? So it ties back into that idea of are we right? Are we on the correct side? And there's that wasn't directly we were humans all along, like Scooby-Doo mask, but I think it ties in. And then while we're talking about Trip, there's another episode. Who's seen Enemy Within, the old sci-fi movie, right? They do a great like Enemy Within episode. Is it him and a Klingon or him and a Kardashian? Not a Cardassian. Not a Kardashian.
That
A
different.
Cardassian. That's what, okay. Sorry.
I was like,
Yeah.
time out.
Yeah. But they basically they crash on a planet. The only way they can survive is by helping each other and their mortal enemies. Right. Sorry, that's a tangent. That doesn't. Sorry, I don't think I directly hit your point, but hopefully I talked enough around it that it was entertaining. So that's. So then Jordy.
I wanted to give you your moment. I wanted to give you your moment
Okay.
in the sun.
Oh no, it's so it's not necessarily a moment of the sun. It's just you had mentioned the person who could hear with a set of glasses, right? So taking the inputs to our brain and helping overcome disabilities that in the past would have been like life changing, right? So Jordy's visor, right? He can't see. This visor directly pipes information into his brain so that he can not only see, but he can see more than the normal spectrum of light around you, right? And so we have several examples of this all the way back in 2009. They had a headset that tons of progress has been made, but you put a small electrode on your tongue and wear a set of glasses. This is for people that are fully blind. And what it does is it takes that image in front of you, it breaks it down into the depth chart of what's in front of you, right? And then small electric shocks across your tongue. And over the course of about a week of training, it rewires your brain to take in not taste, but generating a grayscale image of what's in front of you by hijacking the data pipeline from your tongue into your brain. And they do great tests that you can look this up on YouTube where they can put like a ball or something in front of somebody. And after about a week of training with this, they can see it and pick it. They can have someone walking down the street with this technology and put an obstacle suddenly in front of them and they can walk around it, right? So hijacking the tongue and that data pathway into your brain to give people sight back, right? And we think about these ideas in science fiction and it's like, oh, that's close. Like these are the neat things. In later episodes, they actually offer Jordan the ability to like rebuild his eyes and he loses his, we'll just call it super sight for now, but he actually ends up turning it down, right? To keep that technology. Jordy always resonated with me when I watched the show because he was an engineer. He was the guy that's like, it's kind of like McCoy for people that are Scotty. Thank you for people in like the original series, being an engineer, being a fix it, do it kind of person. Scotty was cool, but Jordy was always my guy because it was like, it's all broken, it's all exploding. We're gonna crash into a quasar. You've got to fix it, and he could get it done, right? And he would always be solving those problems. And then later in my life, Jordy became my favorite character for a whole nother reason. So in my journey, around 2015, I've always had perfect vision. I've always had great sight, right? I never had any issues. Around 2015, I started to notice like, is that fuzzy? Like, is that tree look a little weird? Is the moon like a couple moons that are kind of hanging out together for some, like what's going on? And my partner was like, you're getting older. You just need glasses. I was only in like my 20s and I was like, no, there's just no way I need glasses. Come on, you're crazy. But finally it started to get bad enough that I was like, I'm having a little trouble. And especially at night, things are just exploding. It's like a kaleidoscope in front of my eyes. So I went to the optometrist, just like the Costco, like optometrist, right? And the guy's hitting the machine and it's going like, and it's like 2 or 3 minutes of him like, and he's like, oh, there's something wrong with the machine. And he leaves. And I'm like, well, that's never a good sign.
Hey, now what you want to hear from a doctor.
Yeah, now what you want to hear from a doctor. And so the optometrist comes back and she's like, so I've got some news. You probably thought you were coming in just to get glasses, You actually have a degenerative eye condition called keratoconus. It's not genetic, epigenetic. It's not environmental. It's not lifestyle. It's literally just something that happens to primarily young men between ages 20 and 30, where your cornea starts to thin rapidly, and keratoconus, it bulges and cones out, and so the light, nice lens. We all remember optics and physics, right? I don't remember. I was not good at optics.
Yes, took it in third grade.
But it hits your eye, goes into the receptors in the back. When it cones out, that light hits and goes like in a bunch of different ways, right? So, like, cool,
And it
cool.
makes that sound.
Thanks, optometrist. I didn't know I had a crazy degenerative eye condition. You have a good day too. And, and so she's like, no, there's a specialist that helps with stuff like this. Go, to this specialist. So I go to who is now my eye doctor, and she is great. Dr. Welling, plug to her, shout out. She looks at my eyes and it's like, yep, you've got keratoconus. It's actually progressing super rapidly, so we can't just put contacts on it. You are probably going to have to. There's one experimental procedure that you could possibly do.
Also, not what you want to hear
And
from
I'm
a
like,
doctor.
sweet, sign me up. Like, go to the lab. I don't care. And I was like, okay, do we have to fly to California? Do we have to fly to New York? Where is a lab that would be doing this experimental, like, cutting edge technology? And it's like, it's the Price Vision Group down at Keystone at the Crossing. The Price Vision Group is one of the premier eye people
Yeah,
for like surgeries.
technical term.
And they had an experimental procedure where they basically, if you have like eye phobia stuff, like plug your ears for like 30 seconds, they scrape off part of your cornea, they put you in a Stanley Kubrick like eye holder,
Yeah.
and then they drop this compound onto your eye while they're shooting a laser directly into your eye. And so it hits and it hardens in real time as it's dripping over your eye.
Nice.
It is. You have to be fully conscious for this.
Oh,
You can't be asleep. So I'll tell you, it's one of they
Okay.
gave me a lot of drugs
Okay,
for
so you were on
that,
a
for
lot
that
of
experience.
drugs. Okay.
But I will say, having a laser shot directly into your eyes is one of the most like insane experiences. But they do this procedure on both of my eyes, and I had gone from being legally blind, not legally blonde.
But-
Legally,
Different.
different.
You already said you weren't a
condition.
lawyer.
Yeah. Yes. I was legally blind in my left eye and very close in my right eye,
Yeah.
to having fully functional 20, like 40 or whatever, not perfect, but like
Close
close
enough.
vision.
Yeah.
They rebuilt my eyes and gave me my sight back. Right. This is something that just a couple decades ago would be insane to think about. 50 to 100 years ago would be only like the realm of snake oil salesmen and mystics, right? Like,
Yeah.
this is it's a realm that we are now in science and technology. We can cure conditions that were only the realm of like the mystical and the magical in the past, right? And I can now see, because of these advancements in science and technology, right? These scientists, these medical professionals with a lot of funding from the federal government,
Past tense.
are able to build the technologies and treatments that can fundamentally change people's lives and solve conditions that we could never have thought of in the past. And so that type of level of awe and wonder, I still get goosebumps talking about it, right? Like, I was blind and now I can see, right? Hashtag,
I think I have a song about that.
hashtag thanks science, right? Like,
Yeah.
Star Trek has those same stories and those same arcs. It gave it to us 2000. When was this episode? Sorry, 91
90s.
to like
Yeah.
93. They're talking about giving sight back to Geordi, like 20, 30. God, how old am I? Like 30 years, plus later, like, we're able to do that for people today, right? And I
Yeah.
think that is the power of Star Trek, is that I will call it, in our context today, a defiant optimism in what is possible through science and technology. And we're getting close, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What I would highly encourage all of you, if I was able to communicate anything in this, was go rewatch some Star Trek and rekindle that sense of defiant optimism in what the future can be. Because together as humans, especially if you're watching Star Trek and you're seeing the vision that that they are all painting, we can do amazing things together. We can cross boundaries and explore in ways that you could never have comprehended before. And a show like Star Trek shines a light into that future that is possible if we go in that direction, right? So find that awe and wonder, find that defiant optimism in a show like Star Trek, and rewatch it all the time. It's great. The new series are all great as well. Lower Decks is one of the greatest things that I've ever watched. Strange New Worlds, if you like the episode a day, the older stuff, Strange New Worlds is where you want to be. The only series I'd be like about is Picard. Don't at me, internet. Picard is very like, Prodigy is great. Yeah. Picard's a little technology fearful in a way that I don't think is as optimistic, but it's still good storytelling. But yeah, Prodigy is really great with Janeway, and the new Academy series that's about to come out, Starfleet Academy, looks like it's going to be really good. I'll be honest, the one thing I haven't watched yet, who has watched Section 31? Is it good? Okay, sweet. Good. I got some mixed, but good. Okay, definitely going to watch it. Just hadn't had time.
It'd be like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've talked a lot. Thank you, Allison. I'm gonna.
I let you
Yeah.
run free.
So where do you want to go next?
Well, no, I mean, I think we're at a time, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, because it's
that's
crazy to
fun.
think that we've been here for as long as we have.
Yeah.
So normally I would open this up for a Q&A. I think we're all going to stay probably for a little bit, and feel free to stay for a little bit and chat, and we can talk.
Yeah.
Just like as a group, like not on a live stream or anything.
Yeah.
But I just want to thank you all for coming. And then the Starbase Indie event is this weekend, correct?
Yes. So starbaseindy.org at Starbase Indie. Go check it out. If you are local, there's no excuse. Grab a pass and go.
21st and Schaefer, there's a Marriott, it's called the Marriott Indianapolis East, or Google sometimes calls it the Marriott Center.
Okay.
Come on in, and if picking up the badge is beyond your means this year, we know a lot of folks have been out of work. We had some generous donors come to us, so we do have a program called the Hope for Future Scholarship. Just come show up. There's good people there, good topics. And if you're interested in supporting local craftspeople with any of your holiday shopping, our vendor room is all small local artisans or Midwest artisans.
So
Yes.
I'm gonna recap for the live stream. Go Starbase Indy, Marriott East Indy, local vendors, no random
Corporate
big
slop.
corporate slop, and really good people. And there are scholarship opportunities. Just show up. If you've been laid off, you've been having the issues that have been happening. So show up, have a good time. I want to just a quick show of hands. Who learned something new, something interesting tonight?
I had a good time.
Okay, sweet. Who enjoyed the conversation? You don't have to raise your hand if you
Yeah.
didn't. But if you don't, I'm going to look at you real hard. Okay, no, that's cool. Last plug, we've got Indiana Sciences ugly winter sweaters, holiday sweaters. We got regular sweaters at Indiana Sciences. I have to shamelessly plug
Don't know.
this, so we can maybe buy some new microphones or something. But yeah, check us out. Follow us at Indiana Sciences. Just for me personally, thank you all for coming out. Thank you for this opportunity to talk with you. This is really fun. I'm going to stick around as long as my partner and my tiny human will let me.
Which will not be long.
But I would love to talk to anybody that has any questions. And Allison, thank you so much for being an amazing facilitator.
I was just here, man. Yeah, I'll see you guys in January. We will put out so follow us at Indiana Sciences, March for Science Indy, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you get your news. I don't know.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, we have not. I think we have actually a pretty good lineup.
Mhm.
Haven't figured out our January book yet. That's where we're. But I will
Yeah.
give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. Time after time. I think that's where we're going.
That's a good hint.
Yeah, it's a good hint. So go ahead and get your Barnes and Noble gift cards. Get your Kindles ready,
Mhm.
or whatever. I've been on an audiobook kick. I would love to talk to people about audiobooks and different audiobook vendors. Anyway, I look forward to seeing you the last Tuesday of January. Look forward to seeing you guys next year, not even next month, because happy Christmas, happy holidays. Take a break.
Yeah.
But I look forward to entering the new year with our New Year's resolutions, which for me are reading more books, maybe biased.
Yeah.
And then thank you all for coming. See you in the new year.
Live long and
Safe
prosper.
travels.